want to know who my daddy is. I was born under a red, white, and blue flag. But you still want to judge me because of who my daddy is. It's been more than 150 years since the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th and the 14th Amendment. So why do you look at me with such distrust based on who my daddy is? More than a century later, and you still judge me because of my ancestry? Really? The sad thing is, this is an old question, not new. And I'm still wondering, when are you going to stop asking me about my daddy? Now, I know you heard Dr. King's speech. How many times? Yet, you still want to judge me based on the color of my skin, rather than the content of my character. Well, in the 1960s, who my father and my grandfather wanted to be led to social upheaval and civil unrest. And today, even though I have 2 postgraduate degrees and special certifications in front of and behind my name, I'm still treated with the same disregard? Well, go back 125 years ago. You see, my great-great-grandfather, he could outread, outspell, outwrite, outcalculate most other kids in school. Whether he could outrun them, or outjump them, or outbox them, his academics were superior. Yet he was still kept out of school based on the color of his skin. So today, more than 100 years later, why am I and people like me so often viewed with the same disregard? Could it be because my English is not proper enough, or I don't say all my words just right? Well, if you look into the ethnic past of the people that live in most neighborhoods in this country, you find that their forefathers and great-grandmothers didn't speak perfect English either. Now, I'd be lying if I said that minorities and subcultures don't discriminate too. Some of us do. We even hate among ourselves and against other minority groups. It's true, and it's not cool either. This is a good example. Follow some of the same people back to their countries of origin and see how they treat other minorities or ethnic minorities once they are majority. But if who my daddy is helps you decide if you want to be my friend or let my kids be friends with your kids, then you're still asking the same question and judging me because of who my daddy is. And even if it is not overtly done, well, it still happens far too often subconsciously. Oh, and what about the hate that Bible-loving Christians proliferate because of race? We see it all the time. And in all fairness, it's not just the Christians. So let me generically say believers. You believers judge men based on the color of their skin or their ethnic background, 9 to 5, Monday through Saturday. And then on Sunday or whatever day you worship, you go worship God, knowing that this is the same God that made mankind equally red, yellow, black, brown, and white, mankind in God's sight. But you won't put aside your habitual practice of thinking that I'm less capable or others like me are less capable based on the color of their skin? Incredible. So here's my point. Am I less capable because of the color of my skin or my ethnic origin? Who my daddy is? Well, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Jehovah, whoever, didn't ask who my daddy was in order for him to love me. You see, then it doesn't make sense for believers to do so either. So let me give you an example. if I had a bag of marbles and habitually picked out only the black marbles, well, my preference would be obvious. Even if you never heard me say, I only like the blacks, you would still know my preference. So preferences are seen regardless of whether you admit them or not. So we see what's in your heart based on what you demonstrate. Whether you admit that you have an ethnic preference or not, your actions are speaking louder than your words. So back to the marbles. Based on those preferences, we're constantly asking people that don't look like you, who's your daddy? And we do it without even realizing it. For example, how many different ethnicities live in your neighborhood? How many people of different ethnic origins are your neighbors? Because this also reflects a preference. So how many Africans or Asians live there? Or said another way, are Mexicans okay? Are Chinese okay? Are Koreans okay? These reflect values, and it shows that we're still demonstrating a preference and we're still asking the question, who's your daddy? And you see the point, right? You're still asking the question, and it still matters to you. Whatever people wear, if you don't usually wear the same thing, a sombrero, an afro, a dashiki, a kilt, a kimono, or a grass skirt, then that usually means that these people are from somewhere else. And you want to know one thing as you look at them curiously and cautiously. Where are they from? Or in other words, who's they daddy? Parents that are Japanese and Cuban and German or Ethiopian, they all want the same thing for their children that you want for your children. Peace, security, a good home, quality food to eat, a good education, a safe place to sleep, and so on. Yet some would consider foreigners not human just because they breathe air from lungs wrapped in skin of a different color. Some would say that other people are less than human just because they blink eyes that are slanted or round, oval-shaped or almond-shaped, with pointed noses or flat noses, and because they look at you with eyes under hair that is nappy, curly, or straight, bushy, blonde, black, brown, red, and or otherwise dyed. Well, are you only looking at those things because you want to know? Who's they daddy? That really is the question you're trying to figure out when you look at them to see who they are, or where they're from, and why they're so different than you. We're constantly asking each other who your daddy is. I mean, we do it so much, we don't even realize we're doing it. For example, why is it on every home loan application, or student aid application, or public job application, or public program application? Why do you have to check the box indicating whether you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, or other? And why does the census want to know who your daddy is? We're counting Americans that are here, right? Not foreigners. So why do you have to know how to divide the pie? So why is it on every college application? Check the box for race and ethnicity. And if I don't check the box, I'm being difficult. Well, actually, I'm not just being difficult, I'm out. And I won't be admitted to school or get the loan or whatever it is. The question is, why you gotta know who my daddy is? He's not even applying. I'm the one applying. He's not putting in the application. So why you gotta know who he is? I can hear you thinking now. But we want to track the different nationalities. That's why we ask the question. Or, well, the government requires me to ask it for its records. That's true. You see, from the start, the government has always wanted to know who my daddy is. And 9 times out of 10, it hasn't been for the right reason. But therein lies my point. It's actually 2 points. First, you look for it so often that you don't realize you're asking for it. And the fact remains that I won't get the loan or whatever I'm applying for if I don't check the box, because you really want to know who my daddy is. And second, and most importantly, it's really un-American to pledge allegiance to everything but the second paragraph in the Declaration of Independence. You see, the forefathers of these great and united states wrote and signed their names next to a document, and they were considered traitors for what they wrote. Now, I'm not saying they were perfect or necessarily socially mature, but they pledged their lives in pursuit of personal freedom. And it took an abolitionist, Mr. Thomas Day, to confront them face to face and call out the hypocrisy of signing declarations of independence on one hand and then on the other hand swinging a whip at their fighting slaves. Questioning who my daddy is not new. It's just a bad habit that this country has failed to self-correct for more than 200 years. But give the Founding Fathers credit where it is due. What may have been a lofty aspiration for some, or at least for some of them, was a guiding light that many have since lived up to and quoted, including Benjamin Franklin, Abraham Lincoln, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and President Barack Obama. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights. But here's the point. The Constitution isn't a la carte, is it? I mean, the articles in the U.S. Constitution are not individually priced, are they? Of course not. And we don't say to soldiers, well, indicate which article in the Constitution that you're willing to pay the ultimate price for. We don't say that. And we don't say, well, indicate which article you're willing to sacrifice a limb for or take a non-fatal wound for. We don't say that, right? And we don't tell our soldiers to, strike through the parts you don't like, right? Or circle the articles that you do like. No, we don't say that. Why? Because there is no a la carte to the U.S. Constitution. So today, we have no excuse. And yes, I get it. The vestiges of slavery, the price we pay for slavery as a society, are not your personal fault, no matter what color you are. It's really deeper than that. The point is, our differences were made not to divide us into monistic societies where one race dominates all the others. No, we were made to reflect the diversity and the creativity of the divine. In other words, our differences were made to be optimized, even celebrated in a pluralistic, inclusive society. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done here as in heaven. Have you ever prayed that prayer before? If so, are you sure you understand what you're asking for? Thy kingdom come, thy will be done here as in heaven. Well, here's a hint about heaven. It goes like this. Other sheep I have, which are not of this fold. Them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice. And there shall be one fold and one shepherd. Well, that reminds me of something else we say all the time. It goes like this. E pluribus unum. It means out of many, one. And that is what we learn about our final destination in heaven. Now, it's true. E pluribus unum is also the motto of the United States. And it's found on every 1 unit Federal Reserve note, every $1 bill. And so, I'll say it again. E pluribus unum. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done here as in heaven. let's count together how many riots and wars would never have occurred if people valued ethnic differences rather than let the evil one twist our differences into murder and hate. And what if all mankind asked about my daddy to seek diversity as a preference, as an asset of great value, and not like an outsider fighting for a chance at bat? Imagine this. Imagine a world where everyone knew that regardless of race and ethnicity, that they would get their turn at bat. Imagine a place where everyone, regardless of race and ethnicity, would be treated fairly and decently and with respect. Imagine a world where everyone knew that they would get their heart's desire for themselves and their progeny as long as they worked hard and prepared for their turn at bat. Well, you know what's funny? Or actually, what's not funny? Most of us can't even imagine a world like that. But let me tell you what that world would be like. This would mean that we habitually focus on inclusion rather than exclusion based on race and ethnicity. In this case, my daddy would already be on the team. And after being on the team, he and his children would knock the ball out the park. And this isn't an instance where only he wins or his children and grandchildren win, but the whole team wins. Team humanity wins. It would be a place where the conformity of race and the singularity of an organization's ethnicity will be considered second class, second best, lacking the richness and abundance and the fullness of the multicultural views that our forefathers envisioned and dreamt of when they came to this country, be they African, Asian, Caucasian, Hispanic, Indian, Middle Eastern, as each of them individually prayed that we, the people of the United States of America, would focus less on who your daddy is and would stand united and together as one. One. E pluribus una. Out of many. One country. One nation. Indivisible. Say it with me. One nation. Under God. Indivisible. With liberty and justice for all. Hey, did you enjoy this video? If so, please subscribe now. In my Father's house, in my Father's house.